All right, we are live here. It is Monday. It's February. It is not only February, it is Super Bowl week. And with all the excitement going on in 49ers football and the NFL and all that fun stuff, Jason, what I like just real quick, what were your opinions on the Royal Rumble last night?
It was amazing, man. When The Rock came down with that chair and he hit the Undertaker with that ladder, I was like through the roof, man.
Not too far. No, obviously. Yeah. So this is the Sprint Right Option podcast. Andrew Pasquini. I got Jason Aponte. I'm just very amped about wrestling last night, and I wanted to talk about it for a second. And Edge
cool.
won. Edge won the Royal Rumble. You might know Edge. Edge won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So Edge. So here's my WWE fact.
Yes.
Edge won his first match ever at the Royal Rumble, and then on the same, like, it's like the anniversary of that, and he won at the Royal Rumble again, and that is a fact. You can look that up.
Yes, he won his first Royal Rumble back in 2010, 11 years later. And actually, I don't know how much you know, but Edge retired like 9 years ago because of a broken neck or a neck thing, came back, and not only did he win the Royal Rumble last night, he started at number 1. He went the whole hour and 10 minutes. Anyways,
wait, but the other thing is I want to make sure that you know that I'm on board with you with the wrestling thing. Yes. I remember Christian and Edge.
Oh yeah, Edge and Christian, legend. Yep. Like you can't talk about wrestling history without Edge, Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, like that. And also that was the other surprise last night is Christian came back after an 8-year retirement. So there's your wrestling talk for the day.
No way.
Good wrestling show. I was very happy. So yeah, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna talk some Senior Bowl because Jason is the Senior Bowl expert. Also things transpired over the weekend in terms of the Los Angeles Rams. We will dive into that. Some rumory stuff came out today with the 49ers. But Jason, I do want to start first. Outside of all the football shenanigans and all that stuff, how was Mobile? How was the time, man?
Man. You know how they say sometimes just, enjoy the journey and enjoy, like that's all it really was. Like, this isn't where exactly we want to be, but like when you're there, they give you a little bracelet, you go over, you start to see media members, you get into the media section of it. And it's just like, man, how do we get here? And it's something that you've dreamt about doing is covering sports events, and eventually you get to do it yourself. And it still doesn't make sense to me. I still don't believe that I was there. I still don't believe that we spoke to the people that we spoke to while we were there. Yeah. Just an incredible experience. And it's just as good as you ever thought that it could be, man. And, just it felt good for a little while to act like, we're among the same people. We're colleagues with some of these people, right? Because we're there, doing the scouting and doing all that stuff too, man. And I would change nothing about. All right, I would change one thing about what happened during last week, but I would change nothing about the experience and everything that I've learned and the lessons that I've learned.
I think the biggest thing I took away from the Senior Bowl, and I didn't watch too much of the stuff. You're 7'3"?
Yeah. So no, I'm 7'15".
7'15". Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever we meet, can we play one-on-one, like just basketball? I want to see like how that height works.
Like Sanaa Lathan in that movie.
Oh my God.
Are you gonna play me for my heart?
I don't know what the reference is, but yeah, I will play for your heart because that's I don't know. How tall are you? Let's squash this rumor now. I want to know how tall you are.
It's 6'4", 6'5" when I'm if I'm in Timberlands, then I'm 6'7".
So for context, the picture that came out this week, actually no, the picture you sent on New Year's Eve, the one I sent out, that was the first time I've seen like below this part of your body, because like people don't realize like we've never met in person. No. The only time we've ever talked is like through this. And I'm like, okay, like he looks normal height there. And then the picture came out this weekend. I'm like, oh my God, he's like he should be in the NBA. Like, are you sure you're not Austin Rivers? Like the height doesn't help the argument.
Let me just tell you this. Have you ever seen me and Austin Rivers in the same room? And it is no coincidence that Austin Rivers signed a deal at the stadium that I live 20 minutes from.
Listen, if it makes you feel better, I've never seen you nor Austin Rivers in any room in my life. So I can't answer that honestly. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I lived vicariously through you.
I'm sorry, Andrew. And I was thinking about you the whole time too. I didn't want to be like,
I definitely did I felt good because I knew you were talking about me because I get this message from Jared Bailey. And he started following me. I'm like, why is this guy following me? Like, I'm not that cool yet. Cause this guy, he has a lot of cool things on his bio. And he goes, bro, Jay told me you love wrestling and to DM you. And him and I have been talking wrestling since. And I'm like, it's adorable that Jason talks about me.
Well, we were talking about, when you meet people, that are doing the same thing that we're doing, content creating, right? So they ask you what you do. And then we get around to talking about it. And then, when you talk about this podcast, it doesn't take me long to get into my feelings on you. So, when I was explaining all of those things, I was like, Andrew's a big wrestling guy, the sweetest man in the world. And he was just like, he's like, I'm going right over there. I was like, you DM him right now. But I was like, you make sure you watch yourself, because if you break his heart, you have to deal with me.
So anyway, unrelated then, you doing anything on Valentine's Day, buddy?
Valentine's Day? I'll probably be cooking a pasta dish that is literally boil the water, throw some Prego on it, and then just mix it up and just hey babe, it's pasta.
Yeah, and then so we could have a little Zoom date at some point. I think
nice.
that'd be awesome. Oh my god, we should totally do a Valentine's Day stream.
Double date. All right, yeah.
Yeah, let's just do a special edition to the Sprint Ride Option podcast on Valentine's Day. All right, so let's dive into the meat and bones. We're going to start with the big news before Jason gives all his thoughts on the actual football going on at the Senior Bowl with all the fun prospects and all that fun stuff. The NFC West got a little harder over the weekend. The Los Angeles Rams acquired one Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions. And I've thought about this trade since it came across on Saturday. And I like the trade for both sides, actually. The more I've I instantly thought, I hate this trade for the Rams. I don't like it. But then, when the details coming out that the Rams were able to dump that contract on the Lions, I'm starting to like the trade. So let's talk about the trade first as it is, and then we could talk about how it affects the 49ers, because obviously there was some level of interest from the 49ers on Stafford. So what was your first reaction? What's your initial reaction to the trade?
Shock. It really came from the sky, kind of. Based on everything that was, being floated around, at this point, it was just it was coming from everywhere. You had no idea, really where it was going to go, but nobody really saw that happening with the Rams, right? And then to move Stafford and then move Goff in the same move, it just was I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, shock, right? You sit there for a second, you start to process things, and you start to figure out, hey, the Rams have been in January the last 3 or 4 years. And the 1 year that they weren't, they were 9-7. This team had the number 1 defense last year, even if that slides a little because Brandon Staley leaves. That offense has an amazing play caller and play designer. They were clearly limited by what Jared Goff can do. Now they've upgraded to a guy who doesn't have to be Jared Goff had Sean McVay holding his hand. And what I mean by that is speaking in his helmet all the way up until the last second before that the radio cuts out. So basically, coming from the left, coming from the right. Once that mic goes out, Goff is useless at that point. It's either that read and then that's it, and then just move on. Now he doesn't have to do that. Now McVay can sit around and just call dope plays and just, so you start to say, oh wow, this is a team that was just playing in January this year. They just upgraded a quarterback. You can talk about compensation all you want. The Rams are going to be playing in the playoffs for the 4th straight year, most likely. For the 4th year out of 5. Who wouldn't want that sort of consistency? Seriously. To be in the playoffs every year like that. Seriously.
Personally, I would definitely trade every first-round pick for the next 7 years to be in the playoffs as consistently as they have been. It's people really like to talk about the draft picks and how the Rams haven't had a first-round pick since Goff in 2016, right? I believe that was the year he was drafted. And it obviously doesn't seem to matter, because right now, who would you rather have? Would you rather have your 22 and 23 first round pick or Matt Stafford? I'd probably rather have Stafford. Would you rather have the, 21, 20, 19, whatever package of picks they sent to the Jaguars in order to get Jalen Ramsey, things like that? And And I understand the fantasy of draft picks. I get it. You can draft a franchise changing player in the draft, all that stuff, but you can just shortcut it and trade those draft picks for a franchise changing player who's already been established. It's like, yeah, sure, you could use the third pick in the draft and draft Justin Fields, right? Like if you're the Dolphins, you can get Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, whoever you want, or you could just send that third pick and Tua and some other picks for Deshaun Watson. Like it's mind numbing to me how overvalued these picks are. I mean, you look at the Jaguars, right? And then I just picked a team. The Jaguars since 2016, they drafted Jalen Ramsey. Their first round picks, and this probably might not be the best example because the Jaguars have actually been decent. Their first round pick since then is Leonard Fournette, which good pick, not great for them because he's not on the team anymore. Taven Bryan, a defensive tackle. Josh Allen, who, he's very good. And then they've gotten CJ Henderson and Kalavion Chason. Who would you rather have, those four or Matthew Stafford and Jalen Ramsey? And like that's not a knock on those guys because there's a couple good players in that, but none of them, other than maybe Allen, give Allen a little more time. None of those guys are franchise changing guys.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's always, again, the risk, right? What do you know against what do you think you know? Well, I'm always going to bet on what I know as far as what's proven. And I know that Matthew Stafford is an upgrade over Jared Goff. I know that, picks can be, it's like that Family Guy meme, take the boat or the box, or try the mystery box. Well, a boat's a boat, but the box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Like that's literally what draft picks are, guys. And it basically, that analogy sounds stupid, but it's probably the easiest way to describe the crapshoot that the draft is. So
I don't know if you and I have mentioned that to each other, but I use the exact same analogy on these draft picks. It's just like even too, like I tweeted on the AFC Championship game day. A very interesting case where I think it worked out for both sides. The Chiefs trading up to get Mahomes to the Bills, and the Bills were able to flip those picks to get Trey White, the linebacker I'm drawing a blank on. Who am I drawing? Tremaine Edmonds. Mm-hmm. And they got their right tackle who's missed like 5 starts since they drafted him. It's like, that's one of those rare instances where, both sides, it worked out pretty decently. I'm sure the Bills, I mean, I don't even know if the Bills would say they'd rather have Mahomes than Allen because Allen's I'm not saying Allen is at the same tier as Mahomes, but Allen is their guy and he's very good. So I don't think at any time they're going to say we should have drafted Mahomes. They're not going to say that. But like the Rams are consistently one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, why do they need first round picks? Especially when you consider that their first round picks more often than not are very late. Like, what are they supposed to do? And I think this makes them better. Now, in terms of for the Lions, I like this pick too, because it's kind of the same idea I have with the Texans if they decide to make the move for Watson specifically to the Dolphins and get Tua out of the trade. So then you're not using a draft pick. You already have your drafted quarterback. I think with the Lions, Goff still has time, and Dan Campbell probably makes it significantly harder on him because, I don't know how different his offensive scheme is, but I'm assuming since Sean McVay actually uses actual offensive concepts and all that, and Dan Campbell's offensive system seems to be, we're going to get knocked down. We got to bite them knees. But this way, now they have draft picks and they might not have to use one of them on a quarterback and address other positions. So yes, I'm not trying to say Goff's going to magically flip the Lions franchise around. But it's not the worst place to start.
Yeah. And, as far as the concepts go and everything, guys don't run, Kyle's offense or anything like that, but he has an idea. He'll be good enough. Like, it'll work. I'm not concerned with that, like that. If anything, what will concern me is that if he ever fully grasps this offense, that's what would concern me more than anything. But I think he'll have a general understanding. The verbiage is going to change. Everything's going to pretty much stay the same as far as those concepts on routes and things like that. So he should be all right. that's the last thing that I'm probably worried about at this point because, Sean McVay and Stafford are already in Cabo. They're not partying. They're probably watching film together right now at this point. So they're already putting in work. They'll be fine once the season's ready to start. So I'm not too concerned with the whole, new system or anything like that. The guy's been around the league enough, and the concepts change, but not so much. It's not that hard to grasp, I don't think, for him.
Yeah, it shouldn't. And I mean, as a 49er fan, I'm not looking forward to facing that 2 times a year, but as a football fan, I am genuinely excited to see Matthew Stafford in that system, a system that probably will make him better. It definitely will make him better. And to see that offense evolve to a Matt Stafford quality guy, I'm excited for it personally. It's going to be the closest thing you get to football porn almost. I think Stafford really unlocks that team, and it's really scary to me. They're going to be a very good team, and as I said, if they're in like the Super Bowl next year, which I think like as of February 1st, 2021, I know we have a whole off season to think about it. Like, yeah, you're pretty happy if you make a Super Bowl losing those 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I mean, again, picks are picks. They'll be in their fourth out of 5 playoffs this year, unless barring something awful. I don't know. You as a fan of your team, you have to start to try to understand where you fall. Picks are picks. Cool. Do you want your team in the playoffs and playing every January? Yes. Yeah. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to talk down on the Rams for continuing to swing on big moves, trading for Jalen Ramsey, trading Brandon Cooks, trading Goff to get Stafford. I like guys that are going to take swings. Guess what? Is going to have them in their 4th out of 5th playoff appearance. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what a franchise should strive for? Be in the tournament. Once you're in the tournament, you have just as good a chance as anybody. That's it, man. That's what you should want.
And the thing is, too, like, if we're also looking at the Rams, they don't take the big swings in terms of draft, but man, do they hit on their picks. I mean, you look at what they've had, since the Jared Goff trade, 2017, you get Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round. He's pretty damn good. John Johnson, he's pretty good. Josh Reynolds, he's had moments. That the 3rd, 4th round
is taking his spot. He's going to be good too. They draft well when they get their draft picks.
I didn't hear the name you said.
Van Jefferson,
right? The next year, they, nothing that jumps out in terms of names. They get Taylor Rapp in the 2nd round. They get Darrell Henderson, 3rd round. He's been a contributor for them. Last draft, they get Cam Akers. He's a contributor, and now they set it up to where they don't have to pay Todd Gurley's contract. They get rid of him, and they're replacing him with not only drafted players in the 2nd and 3rd round, but players that are producing already. Cam Akers is a very good running back. I would know. I'm a Florida State fan, and I like to flex Florida State when they're good, whenever they are. So like, yeah, the Rams haven't had a 1st-round pick since 2016. They've done pretty good without those 1st-round picks. And like my running joke is too with the Niners is like, why do we need to draft in the 1st round? Like the Niners got Dre Greenlaw and George Kittle in the 5th. Like, right. What's like, yeah, I know they've gotten very good players in the 1st round. Mike McGlinchey, he's a 1st-round pick. He's not that bad. I think he's still a good player. I know that's an unpopular opinion in certain circles. But then you get guys like Brandon Ayuk, DeForest Buckner's a 1st-round pick. Sure, they've hit on 1st-round picks, but they're doing really well in later rounds. And also got to remember the Niners took a 3rd-round pick into Trent Williams too. So the Niners are doing this also, just not as high on the 1st-round picks, but they're able to make these lower picks work. Right. So I think it really comes down to like it's literally just a quality over quantity.
Yeah, and I think to put a bow on this, because we're already like 20 minutes in, right? There's different ways to make an omelet, right? There's people who they build in the draft, whatever, they hit on their draft picks, they develop, and boom, boom. There's other people that trade, don't care about picks. Here's one more thing I want to throw out. Why was Sean McVay worry about picks in 2024, 2025, 2026 when he might not even be the coach then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that.
Why am I worried about holding on all these picks when I can win a championship, or compete for one this year, and then I can leave? And guess what? You have all your picks. I'll get a job somewhere else, and I have my championship. Like, why aren't people thinking about it in that regard?
Exactly. And so we'll put that conversation. We'll tuck it away because there's 4 months we can talk about draft, or 2 months, 2.5 months until the draft. We can talk about draft picks whenever we want. So Rams, good trade. Lions, probably a good trade. We'll see what they do with it. It literally comes down to what they do with those picks. That's really what it is. The other 49er-ish news today, Evan Massey of excuse me, I don't have his Twitter page pulled up. Featured his Twitter bio says featured in Forbes, ESPN, Yahoo, Fox Sports. He tweeted out early this morning, 49ers still looking to make a move at quarterback. Kirk Cousins, I'm told, is a name to keep an eye on. If the Vikings are open to dealing, San Francisco will push hard to acquire him. Ties with Shanahan make this an intriguing potential fit. I didn't know it was the year 2017. This just feels like a rumor that comes up every off season. And I'll let you say what you want to say, and then I'll have my opinion on it. But what's your kind of opinion on that rumor in terms of the Cousins thing? I mean, it's really not a shock to the 49ers fan.
I mean, that was expected. It's almost a joke. It's almost a joke, right? Like, it's almost like, okay, so now we're running a news cycle with 49ers fans. They think they're getting Watson. They think they're getting Stafford. Now let's just throw the Kirk thing right back on them. Like, it's almost a joke. Like, everybody's in on it, and they're just like, watch how we mess with them even further. So, look, the Kirk things, you knew that was going to come out. Whatever. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. At this point, what I've learned this week is this. I'm done talking about where I think guys are getting traded, who's going where. What I will do is give you analysis when it's done and things like that. Or maybe, you know what, I'll talk about how Kirk Cousins fits on his team, what would happen, things like that. Yeah. But I mean, at this point, you knew this was coming. Everyone knew this was coming, and it feels like a meme. Like, I feel like I'm living in a meme, even though I am a meme. Like, I'm like all over the place on Twitter as an actual meme.
Yep.
But I feel like I'm living in a meme at this point, like where someone's like, Watson? Nah. Stafford? Nah. But yeah, we're going to put Kirk back on you now. And then, that name just drives the fan base insane. Like, that was the last name they wanted to wake up this morning and read.
Yeah. And in terms of what you're saying with, like, just all the reports for the 49er quarterbacks, Angie of the 49ers 49er carrots. I get it confused. I always thought it was singular, and I'm very thrown off that it's plural. It's 49 carrots. I just always assumed carrot was singular. She kind of tweeted the same thing. It's like, just like, hey, like, it just seems like we're at a point where different day, there's a different quarterback. So I told her, hey, just text me when Jameis's name is thrown up. And then I'll start talking.
Oh man. That's the day it's an emergency pod.
Oh my god! Like I've ran thoughts in my head of I have ran this simulation in my head of Jameis Winston signed with the Niners as a backup, and I'm getting to a point where I'm dangerously thinking I'm talking myself into it. It's actually going to happen, and I don't like that because I know he probably has a starting job with the Saints waiting for him, but I'm just thinking well, what if the Saints decide to do something else? I think Jameis would be a very good fit in the 49ers system. Anyways, that's your weekly Jameis Winston update. In terms of the Kirk Cousins idea, and I know I am in the minority on this, and this is the hill I will forever die on. I don't think he's too much of an upgrade on Jimmy Garoppolo.
But we agree that he is.
Yes, but I don't think so. Let me word it like this. I think he is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think it's worth what you have to trade to make that step up to get him.
Well said.
I think Garoppolo, I still think Garoppolo is a good quarterback. I think he is good. I think the worst part about him is he just can't stay healthy, and that's not necessarily a thing he can control. I don't think he wakes up and say, hey, I'm going to get hurt today, obviously. And so I think in my head, that's the only reason you can convince me that Kirk Cousins is an upgrade is because he's missed 5 games in 8 years, whatever it is. So I get that. Yes, his numbers are better. He might be a better quarterback. To me, I think it's worth keeping. I just think the cost effectiveness of keeping Garoppolo makes more sense than sending picks to Minnesota to get a quarterback who makes you, on an estimation, 3% better.
So here's the thing, right? Let's get into it, okay? 49er fans, you don't want Kirk Cousins because he's a dork. That's it. Bottom line, right? because if we're talking about why is he an upgrade, deep ball against the Saints to Thielen, he has that in his arsenal. Throws to the sidelines. He computes the field really fast. He turned the ball over 13 times on interceptions last year, threw 35 touchdowns. The last 2 years with Kirk Cousins, the film and the numbers have lined up. It's not one or the other, right? You can't just say watch the film or just go to the stats. Both of them line up, and they both tell the story pretty well. He played really well, and they have an awful pass blocking line. In Minnesota. Awful. For him to only have 13 picks, he started the season slow. Everybody was like, oh, look at Kirk. But then when he's cooking, nobody's telling him nothing. Like he played really well. There was a large stretch of the season where he was playing very well. Nobody was talking about it. So, look, what he can do is outside of what Jimmy Garoppolo can do at times, but he's just a dork. That's it. That's the part that really kind of gets to me. And I don't mean like I'm saying dork, but I mean like it's the alpha male thing, right? Like when your quarterback walks in the room, everybody's got to kind of, like, oh, we believe in this guy. I don't know if Kirk commands that sort of respect. So my concerns would be less on what he can do on the field and more intangibles that I can't quantify in any way. And again, I have nothing to back that up. I just see how goofy he is in his interviews and how he moves. And he had to apologize to his receivers and stuff like that. Like, I've never heard of a franchise quarterback who's been given a huge bag like that, $84 million, have to go on the radio and apologize to a wide receiver. That's what I mean about Kirk.
He's very smart, though, to get that fully guaranteed money. That's I'll take that all day. I can't picture Kirk Cousins as a 49er. I know I've created my anti-quarterback win-loss stats. But my running joke that I like to tell my friend who overrates Kirk Cousins. Case Keenum has as many playoff wins in a Vikings jersey as Kirk Cousins. That's my joke I like to go to. No, quarterback wins are not a stat. I need to lay that down. But yeah, I think if I pick between the two, I would rather have Garoppolo at this point. And I know I'm in the minority on that. I think, yes, he probably has a bigger arm, but in terms of what it's going to cost to trade him, because I don't think Minnesota's just going to send him over for cheap. I would just rather have Garoppolo and save the draft picks and just hope, because we know what Garoppolo can look like over a 16-game season. Is he perfect? No, but is he good enough? Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to take that away from him at all. Just at all.
And I think that's a fair assessment too, right? Like, again, Stafford felt like the perfect, spot, right? Like, not too expensive, not too old, not too, like you wouldn't have to give up. But when that goes away, Watson it's not going to be Watson now. It almost feels like, you're just going to be caught in a position where it has to be Jimmy and you have to run it back with him, because of the options that are out there. And I'm with you to upgrade the quarterback position. If I'm going to send picks, I want to massively upgrade the position, or for like a huge, like not marginally, like that's the thing, so I'm with you on that one. That one I'm not sending picks for, right? Like I want to have a guy who has all the throws in his arsenal, right? And Kirk, like I said, Kirk just gets a lot of heat because he's a goofy, but the numbers in the film line up these last 2 years. So he's played really well, and this year I was really impressed with him, especially considering how bad his pass protection was this year and how bad the Vikings were on defense. Like, I don't think usually when you think the Vikings, they're like, oh, good defense going to keep you in the game. The Vikings are atrocious on defense, and they were last year. Like, Mike Zimmer never really talked about Kirk Cousins because he's a defensive guy, but all he did was rail on the defense all year in his press conferences. So, you have to take all those into consideration when you do your evaluation on a player, and just make sure you watch the games so you can see.
Yeah, and like I think in terms of talking about Garoppolo being the starter in week 1, that's not the worst situation the Niners can be in. They like it could be worse. The 49ers could have Jake Luton as their week 1 starter. Jacksonville, obviously Jacksonville's going to get Trevor Lawrence, but like last year, Jacksonville's week 1 starter was Gardner Minshew, and like the only reason he was a starter is because he had a mustache and a mullet. Like he wasn't like. The idea of Gardner Minshew is very fun, but he was never going to be a guy that like took a big step. I think he's an average quarterback. I don't think that's a hot take. So like there's worse positions teams can be in at starting quarterback than having Jimmy Garoppolo. And if that ends up being what it is, which I think it's looking more and more likely every day, there is significantly worse places you can be. And if you can get a 16-game season from Jimmy Garoppolo, you can see we've seen what the peak looks like, and what's to say that he can't get to that peak again? That's really my point is, yes, I know it's fun to talk about Deshaun Watson. That's probably not realistic at this point, because I don't think the Niners are going to get, because what was the rumor? It was 2 defensive starters, picks, all that stuff. I think the Niners, with where they're at their defense, I don't think they really want to give up too many starters, considering how many cornerbacks they might lose and all that stuff. I really think the asking price on Watson is going to be too rich for the 49ers blood. Especially with the cap space. So, like, yeah, as fun as it is to talk about Watson coming, and as fun as it was to talk about Stafford coming, which I thought was the most realistic option, like, there are worse places you can be than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I am 100% fine if Jimmy Garoppolo is the week 1 starter.
Absolutely. And, again, you're just covering the possibilities, not predicting, nothing like that. We're just covering the possibilities, and that's definitely one of the possibilities. Like, there's no way it's not.
So, Jason, do we want to have some fun? Talk a little bit about what you saw at the Senior Bowl down there in Mobile?
Before I get into Senior Bowl.
Before he gets into Senior, okay. I should have asked. Do you have anything you want to say before we dive into
Not that. It has nothing to do with quarterbacks.
Yes.
Before I get into Senior Bowl. Is his name Dieter Dumberich or something like that, I believe, on Twitter? Okay.
I'll look it up.
Okay. He sends out a tweet and says, man, Reese's really fumbled the ball by not making the 2 teams Team Chocolate and Team Peanut Butter. Andrew,
yes,
the floor is yours, my friend. Take your victory lap.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even know if I invented that take, because I'm sure somebody else has had that joke, and it just hasn't come out. But, like, it's just such a layup. Like, the American team versus the national team. Like I get it. Like, it's the AFC versus NFC. But then, like, when the AFC team is the national team and the NFC team's the American team, dude, Team Peanut Butter, Team Chocolate, like, it's a slam dunk. I would buy a Team Peanut Butter, Team Chocolate jersey. I would buy one of those jerseys, because, like, I think it's fun how they incorporate the colors of Reese's into the jerseys. And, like, man, it's just fun. Like we don't have to be so serious about this football game. Just Team Chocolate, Team Peanut Butter. You could get, like, a peanut butter colored helmet. Like, oh man, if you get a helmet with, like, the logo of, like, how when you open a jar of peanut butter and it has a little swirl at the top, and it's just like, I don't want to put my knife in there, but I have to get this delicious peanut butter. Like that should be the logo of Team that should be the logo of Team Peanut Butter. But the logo for Team Chocolate, I think what it should be is, like, how the Reese's cups come in that piece of paper, and, like, 9 times out of 10 when you peel it off, the chocolate sticks on the bottom to the paper. I think that should be the Team Chocolate logo. It's just the chocolate stuck on the paper.
I just wanted to make sure you got your flowers, buddy.
I really thought that through over the weekend. I was just like, man, how do we make this Team Peanut Butter versus Team Chocolate thing work? And that's how. That is how.
You know what's the best part about it? And then we'll put a cap on this here. Yes. The best part about it is that tweet came across my timeline, and then I look at the first comment, and someone tagged you, and I was like, that's it. I was like, that's it. It was Kobe. Yeah, shout out to Kobe. I was like, that way to go, man. Way to go, buddy. Like, that's it, bro.
Yeah, Team Peanut Butter versus Team Chocolate. I'm a big Reese's fan.
Apparently.
It's the best candy there is, and I've thought about it.
So, all right, before we get into football,
honestly, if we just talk about Reese's the rest of the time, I don't care personally.
So we get there, and they give us our media credentials and all that stuff, and they shove a Reese's in your hand. And I'm just like, this is awesome. That's
what I hope heaven or hell, whichever one I go to is. I just hope I get there, and it's either, whoever you believe in up there or whoever you believe in down there is just at the gate handing you a Reese's peanut butter cup. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I saw the winning team, which I don't know which team won, because for me, I don't care about the score. It's just necessarily, who played well, who didn't. I saw they dumped, instead of a gallon of Gatorade, they dunked like a Gatorade cooler full of Reese's. So that was fun. So you get yours, Reese's, and yeah, Team Chocolate versus Team Peanut Butter. Let's think about that, Jim Nagy.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's think about it. Also, so we got more Reese's stuff.
One more Reese's thing. One more Reese's thing. The most famous person that I met while I was down there.
Oh, sick brag.
Sick brag, for real. This is the sickest brag. The Reese's character walked around the stadium. He's in his suit. Yeah, it's the Reese's wrapper, right? Like, it's his body, and then his head's the cup.
Oh yeah, that's a good mascot. I've seen that mascot.
Yeah, dude, I was like, this is the most amazing thing that's happened to me this entire time.
Oh man, Reese's. You know what I'm
I don't
gonna
even know what
do?
to call him. Is he like the Reese's Reese? Or I don't even like. I was like, I wanted to ask him like, "What's your name, buddy?"
It's gotta be Reese's mascot name. Let's
All
see.
right, Andrew. Let's talk about football.
Cuppies. His name is Cuppies. Okay, let's talk about football. According per Reese's Twitter page, our official mascot Cuppy is in the house. I'm retweeting that. We're giving that a retweet. There you
Absolutely, he was there.
Go to my timeline. You can see the mascot we're talking about. Yeah. So, anyways, do we? Did any prospects stand out to you outside of Cuppy?
Yeah, outside of Cuppy. No, Cuppy's on my board. It's on my board is number one, and that's it. Like he's in. Like you guys are out here looking at football players. I am scouting the extracurricular, and that's exactly what I found. Like you guys need to start. You need to start scouting the intangibles. Stop telling me about his 40 speed. Talk to me about his chocolate peanut butter ratio and how he can stand upright. What is his body made of? Anyway, all right. So real prospects.
What's more important to you in terms of rating Cuppy? Is it the chocolate, the peanut butter ratio, or the amount of chocolate that comes off on the paper?
So this is a great point too, right? And we got into a discussion while we were there. Apparently, Leonardo Ike Luna eats his Reese's as a psychopath.
I want to hear this.
So he doesn't just crush the cup, like just crush it. Like it does. There's no bites. You crush it. This man's nibbling on this like Hannibal Lecter. I'm just like, I had no idea you were a sociopath. Couldn't believe it.
So as a kid, and this is our last Reese's comment, and we will talk about the Senior Bowl. As a kid, I used to eat Reese's in the most psychopathic way. So you know how around the rim it has like the spikies?
Yeah,
I would chew the spikies off first. So then I would just have a Reese's cup without the spikes. Then you know how the peanut butter thing is just like a circle, and then there's like a ridge of chocolate? I would bite the rim of chocolate off, so it's just the peanut butter patty with 2 pieces of chocolate on top. I would then eat the chocolate off of the peanut butter. So I would literally just have the peanut butter patty
Andrew,
and then just eat the peanut butter patty by itself. So Leo, I got you. I eat Reese's the most psychopathic way you can.
Andrew, what just happened? All right, let's talk prospects.
Yes, anyways, who stood out to you the most down there in Mobile?
Man, on offense, Michael Carter from North Carolina. My goodness. I mean, it seemed like every time that he was getting the ball, the first person who attempted to him, like any time, whether it was like a move with like pushing down, or like with his hands, or just a jump cut, like he's so elusive, man. Got him the ball in space on screens, and he looked great, man. He scores a touchdown, where the whole pile moves as well too. He was incredible. Demetric Felton all week. Running back converted over to wide receiver, but running wide receiver routes, not running back routes, not running as a running back. Like he legit was a wide receiver. He was amazing. Amari Rodgers stood out in the game, somebody that I was very big on as well too, going into it. Kind of see him, they even in the Debo sweep with him, kind of see him in that same mold as Debo, end arounds, slot guy type of thing like that. He flashed in the game as well. On defense, man, Patrick Jones, there was a drive where Kellen Mond just, here's the one thing that I'll say that's negative before I get into Patrick Jones. The quarterback play was abysmal. For a Senior Bowl and a showcase, the quarterbacks weren't good. But what happens is when we were asking questions to Matt Rule about who's going to be doing play calling, he did the play calling and he gave 1 quarter to one person, 1 quarter to one person, so every coach got a crack at it. When I don't know who was doing the third quarter play calling, but Kellen Mond, they got him a bunch of easy throws and got him going. But he did not impress me. Ian Book did not impress me. They were calling for Mac Jones. We had gotten some information that Mac Jones wasn't playing. Turns out that he played. Really because he had such a bad time while he was there that he didn't want to hurt his stock anymore. It's so weird how the media is like, Mac Jones is solid. He looked good. I didn't see that when I watched the film. I didn't see a guy who was like, this crazy quarterback prospect, or, like he has the floor of a solid NFL quarterback. I don't know if that's something to get excited about as far as like a high draft pick or even in the first round, but he probably will go there. But it was good and like he was just like, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to. They were calling for him in the stands and he just wouldn't go out there and play. They hit it under an ankle, but it wasn't that. And, Austin Watkins, that's a guy that, man, first day, Jamie Newman in the drills hits him with a beautiful bomb, like across from the far hash. He doesn't have to slow down. He was getting open the entire time, man. And yeah, those are some of the guys. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to watch or anything like that, Andrew. Did you have any guys that you saw that are actually flashing?
I did not. I just kind of read through the tweets. One of my questions was actually based on the workouts. I know the quarterbacks didn't necessarily play great. But did Jamie Newman impress enough to where if the 49ers don't want to commit a higher pick on a quarterback, do you think Jamie Newman could be a guy they're looking at maybe day 2, day 3? I don't know how much his stock went up in terms of the Senior Bowl. Do you think he could be the type of guy with the performance he had, at least the first couple of days of workouts and all that? Do you think he's somebody that could sneak up on the Niners board?
Right. So he's day 3 for me. The first day he impressed, right? And then drills as it went along throughout the week, he threw some really bad picks, like to underneath linebackers. Like he wasn't bad decisions, right? And then my concerns came in during the game was the pocket pressure. Patrick Jones was, I mean, look, I'm not going to blame the right tackle because he was getting worked. And Patrick Jones was in his bag. He was hitting him with speed moves outside. He was, moving through. But Newman never felt him on his backside. He was holding, like, if you see Patrick Jones is wearing your tackle out, get the ball out of your hands or move, man. Like, you know that you have that clock, and he didn't seem to have it. He's so much more developmental. Like, do not in any breath tell me that Trey Lance is developmental and tell me that you don't think that Jamie Newman is, like, double developmental when it comes to that as far as a project. So that's my thing. There's tools there. He's very, very, very raw. And, there was points where we were like, look at that arm, and we're like, okay, that's cool. But then there was other times where it's like, man, this kid needs to work. And he is a day 3 guy. He absolutely is a developmental project. So I don't know. Yes, if the 49ers want to take him, you have to wait. Like, there's no way you can play that kid early. No way. None.
Okay, then I guess follow-up question on that, because as I said, I think it's becoming more and more obvious with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be the starter. Like, I'm going to put that at 98% at this point. Let's be honest here. One possibility, I thought, is could you see them, instead of going via draft for his backup, sign a established, NFL guy, Jameis Winston,
Ryan Fitzpatrick,
but yeah, just one of those guys, right? Who have experience, who aren't necessarily starter level, and then draft a guy like Jamie Newman and maybe stash him on the practice squad. Like, I know that's kind of crazy to take a 5th round or 6th round pick and put him right on the practice squad, or just so they're not wasting a roster spot and see him there? Or do you think that's risking maybe a team stealing him or something along that lines?
Somebody's going to be intrigued with
and it's not even necessarily a Newman thing. It's just more of like a later round quarterback and stash him on the practice squad sort of deal.
I mean, and that would be him, because I think he probably has the most upside out of everybody. Like, I was not impressed with Kellen Mond. I don't mean to dump on the quarterbacks, man, but for a game that's a showcase for seniors, their last chance to boost stock, yes, the quarterbacks didn't do themselves any favor. And meanwhile, I'm talking about the MVP of the game, Kellen Mond.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, because I felt like that was weird. Because as I said, I didn't watch the game, but I feel like I saw the tweets early. Like, Mond isn't looking good, and then like at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, Mond won MVP. Interesting.
So I misspoke when I said Newman. It was Mond that I was talking about. In the beginning, in the first quarter, he looked bad. I was just like, goodness gracious, like missing guys. Everything was thrown in somebody's foot. And then in the third quarter, whoever was running play calling, they ran a bunch of routes with tight ends in the middle of the field, got him some single looks where he was able to go down the field in a seam, and it looked like he was doing better. Like, he threw a beautiful ball to Quentin Morris. That was dope. It wasn't a touchdown, but who cares? It was such an amazing play. So he looked better throughout the game. So it's funny, right? If you didn't watch the game and you looked at his stats and you saw, man, what are you talking about? 17 for 25, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of that came in the third quarter because he was not doing that early in the first quarter. It was really bad.
Who is somebody that you were excited to see that met the expectations in your head and kind of confirmed what you thought?
Michael Carter, man. I'm going to keep talking about this kid, man. Like, there's a world that I see that Michael Carter could be the best all-around back out of all of these guys, man. Like, I had heard about him. Everybody had been raving about get this guy in Shanahan's offense. I'm like, okay, so let me hear and let me look. I saw it. You see it. He like I said, the elusiveness, you can't get, it felt like he was like just dripped in grease. Every time somebody put their arms around him, he would slide right out, or he would make a move. I'd say for a hard run, it wasn't the easiest tackle. Like, it wasn't like the guy was like grabbing him by his leg, trying to stop him, and then finally like got it out. So, Michael Carter boosted his stock a lot this week. We had a chance to meet with his family because they would allow us in the building. Anytime he touched the ball and did anything good, you knew exactly where it was coming from. So we looked right over. It was them. Nice people. We told them, we said, hey, your kid is amazing, and we'd love to get him over here because you put him in a Shanahan office, get 1,500 and you prosper. You just sit back and you profit. But, that's not what's going to happen. But I just selfishly, I would love to see this kid, man. I heard a lot about him, and he looked amazing in this game.
Well, I don't think you're too far off on that thought because it's a thought I've had with the 49ers is, yeah, they're set at running back. They have Jeff Wilson. They have Raheem Mostert. I wouldn't hate them getting a third running back as a not a change of pace because like they're all going to kind of be the same mold of running back. But just a third running back because we know Wilson's injury history. We know Mostert's injury history, more of just like an insurance. And a name that comes to my mind is Matt Breida. I think Breida would be great. We know what he looks like in this system. But is Michael Carter a guy like you could see the Niners taking a chance on at running back? Or like, do you think my thought of a third running back, kind of a just in case break glass sort of thing, or just to have them get less carries for Wilson and Mostert to keep them healthy over the long run? Do you see the Niners prioritizing that spot?
I don't. I think they're just going to go their undrafted free agent route. It's just how Mike Shanahan did it, how they all did it. I would love selfishly to see Michael Carter in this offense, but I think he did enough to boost his stock in this game, man. Like, that was the buzz around everybody. There was buzz around a few players. It was Michael Carter. It was Austin Watkins. That's Sammy Watkins' cousin. Okay. And it was, Patrick Jones. I like Jabril Cox. I think that he did a lot to boost his stock this week. It doesn't sound like a flashy name, but he was winning pass rushing reps when I was watching the practice tape. He was covering. He looked fluid. He looked good. I can't say his first name. Tony Cardevi. I'm not going to try to say his name, but Tony. He was such an interesting prospect because when he was running routes in one-on-one, he was leaving and I understand the defensive backs are at a disadvantage, right? It's you and the wide receiver, and only you and the wide receiver and the quarterback are the only ones who know, right? Mm-hmm. But he was leaving guys 15 yards away from him, like literally making moves and they're running the other way. The problem is, can't catch the ball. Too many drops. Wide open drops. Like wide open, boom, dropped it. Kadarius. Thank you, Garoppolo Stan. Kadarius, yes. So when I discussed it, right, if I'm an evaluator, right?
Yes.
You have a guy who can't separate, but he can win 50-50 balls that you have to throw, but they're always contested catches. Or you have a guy who can get himself all the way wide open, but can't catch the ball. What would you rather run with? I think for my money, I want to take the guy who actually can get himself open because I think you can teach drops. You can teach holding on to the ball. You can't teach separation at the next level. And Kadarius, Tony, actually showed that, and I saw a lot of that elite separating. And it's just that's the fun part about the scouting. You're looking at that and you're like, wow, look at him get open, and you're like, man, drop. So do you prioritize the drop or do you prioritize the separation? Me, I think I'm going to go with the guy who can get himself open, and I think he's going to be good at the next level once he cleans that up.
I guess last question I have. I know you talked about Michael Carter. I know you talked about those guys. Who's somebody that you saw that probably is going to go third day that you said the Niners need to get him day 3? He's somebody who can come in and do something right away. There's,
I don't think he's going to make it there, but like Ifeni Malafanu, what I noticed that I was really interested in, when I was watching him at the Senior Bowl is where he was being placed. Sometimes safety, sometimes slot, sometimes outside corner. Like I'm looking for flexibility, and I'm looking for, okay, with guys, when they do one thing really well, cool, that. But when they do this well, not the perfect, but you can still use them and be flexible with them. That's kind of what you're looking for. And I thought that he really played well. Divine Diablo is a name that I want on this team. And just not because of his name, but I mean, the name is awesome.
The way you worded it is like, I need that name on this team.
I need that name. No, he is a massive man at that safety position. He looked incredible, man. Like he looked like fast, strong, big. Like you just see it right there. You get close enough where you can see them right there. And it's just like, I'm like, who is that giant man? and Matt's like, that's Diablo. And I'm just like, my goodness, like, look at that guy. And yeah, I would love to have him on the team. When I go through the tape all the way, because it's weird, right? When you're there, you're watching, but you're also trying to tweet updates. People are talking to you. You get into conversations with people who are going through their process and what their thoughts are and everything. And you don't really catch every single play. But he looked like a giant man. And I was like, yeah, bring that man to me. And then when you say his name, it makes all the more sense in the world.
Okay, last question, because who was the offensive lineman with the belly? Because I like him. He was
I don't know his name either, but everybody likes that picture.
He's like a D3 guy, right? Like he was a pretty small school. And I forget his name, but I heard he actually made a name for himself a little bit. I don't know if I don't know how much it had to do with the pictures coming out, because like that's half of the battle, man. If you could be known like that might do something for you. So
that's what I thought it was. It's Quinn Mearnes. Yes, that's what I thought it was too. And so he was impressing though. But he was impressing before. So before I saw that picture, I had already heard and I had already seen. Like I'm like, okay, like so I just wanted to make sure I said his name right. Thank you guys for helping me out here with all these names. But yes, yeah, he looked incredible, man. Like there was. I was excited to see Shaka Toney. What's weird about it, the practice wasn't as good. And then in the same way that he was getting blown up in practice, he wins in the game. I was just like, so how much is this guy a practice player? How much is he a actual gamer? That's what makes this all. I understand now that I've been down there, I understand the people that love this draft process and love doing all this, man, because you're going to get things wrong. I'm going to get things wrong. But when you nail it, that's got to be an amazing feeling. And, that's really what it was more than anything. Like, I'm more attached to these guys at this Senior Bowl because I got a chance to watch and I'm putting my name behind some of these guys. So, no matter where they fall, I want to see them succeed. So, like, that's what's really fun about this. It's another level that we can get to. And, apparently we did enough where we're back next year as well, too. So this is something that we're going to be doing every year as long as we can get down there. That's it. Yeah,
perfect. Well, I'm glad I got to interview you about all this, because that's pretty much what that was. I mean, you were down there as like it's tougher, to follow it on Twitter, but for you to be down there and see everything and just to experience it, it's something that seemed pretty cool, and it's something that I hope one day, I get my what down there. It was a little tough for me this year, but
Andrew, I have a real question, and this isn't even a troll question.
Real question. Let's do it.
How tall are you?
I am 6'1" on a good day. I lean more 6 foot, but 6'1".
I got bad news for you, Andrew.
Oh no.
Mobile's airport does not allow huge planes. So there's no straight shot to Mobile.
Oh yeah, that's why, because you had to go down to Houston, right?
So I don't know what happened. United said instead of sending you maybe to like Florida and then they were like, nah, let's do a Z. And it was, oh my goodness. So when you get in the first plane, yeah, whatever, it's crammed with your leg room. But the second plane is not only crammed with leg room, but the roof is like here.
Nice.
Like, yeah. So like, I'm like walking through like, so that's why I asked how tall you were, because next year when we go to Mobile, you're going to have to crouch down like to even walk into that plane, because those are the only planes that get into Mobile.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait.
I want to answer this question actually that's in here. Arshanoy just asked, Carter, Javonte Williams, maybe, but honestly, with what I saw with Javonte, and I've seen a lot of people that I respect and I feel like know more than me about, some people have him as the number one running back, even ahead of Najee. And when you watch the film, you kind of see it. So I don't know if I'd say Carter over Javonte, but I think Javonte is being slept on a little bit. Like, he could end up being the running back one of this draft class.
And I'm sure this isn't going to be the last we're going to talk about the Senior Bowl. You're going to have insight on these guys all the way up through the draft. So if you guys have Senior Bowl questions that you didn't think of today, like, no problem, bring it next time.
Or just ask me on Twitter. Just don't put a meme of me. Don't put a meme of me. Like, send me a real question. Can we when are we going to stop with this meme stuff, Andrew?
Never. Never, ever, ever. So that's going to be it today. I don't know the exact plan for Friday. It's looking like we are going to do what we did last week. We're going to record on Wednesday, drop the episode audio only on Friday. We have a guest.
We do have a guest.
Am I revealing it now? Is it like 100% confirmed?
Reveal it. It's confirmed.
Akash will be joining us on Friday.
My guy.
Friday's pod. We'll talk 49ers. I don't know, man. We'll find out something to talk about because things are, like the funny thing is about all this Matt Stafford and Deshaun Watson stuff is like the offseason hasn't even started yet. So like there's still technically nothing really to talk about 49er wise because there's the rumors and whatnot. So we might have a fun episode with Akash, just have some football conversations. Maybe about a tweet I sent out Saturday night that I was very wrong about regarding the 49ers placement in the NFC West. Because I saw he liked some opinions that were differing of mine, and I corrected that. I moved the Niners to 2. I was just very in my emotions. That's okay.
Andrew,
don't tweet when you're emotional. Don't tweet when you're emotional.
Twitter. They don't let you know when you're right. They just let you know when you're wrong.
Dude, that was the funny thing. It's like I got responses after responses, but then when I corrected it and I said, no, the Niners are probably number 2, I got like 2 likes. Nobody cared. But that's okay. So yeah, we'll have Akash on Friday. We're gonna go audio only on Friday. We might be doing more of those. It's a little easier with our schedules just to go audio only on 1 episode a week. We'll probably still sneak in a live show on Fridays and obviously emergency pods when they come up. So that's what it is. Jason, I am glad you had a good time in Mobile, Alabama. I'm happy you had fun, the time of your life. You ate all the Reese's. We learned today that his name was Cuppy, so I'm very happy we got that out of the way. Jason, as always, what do we say here?
Let's go Niners.
Let's go 49ers. And Edge won the Royal Rumble.